It's March 27th on a Friday night. Streaming Star Wars Episode 16 has begun. We don't have an opener this week. That's right. The budget got cut in half, which means we went from 0 to 0 real fast. You're hearing the voice of Ammo, and Fletzer is going to be on screen in moments. Actually, there he is. There's two-thirds of his head. I'll keep the bottle out of that drink. My goodness, a casual Friday here to talk about Star Wars, all things streaming Star Wars, because that's what we do here on Streaming Star Wars with Ammo and Fletzer. We have a brand new episode of the Clone Wars to discuss familiar scenes, alluding back to previous movies we've maybe seen in theater or on VHS in our comfort of homes. Maybe it was a Star Wars story that we were supposed to pick up on. We'll dive into that in just a few minutes. But first things first, Pete Fletzer, we're on day like 3,700 of quarantine. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good, man.
Yeah.
How's by you?
Well, I'm not eating wood yet, but I'm damn near about to eat the trimmings on my doorway. We have food, but we have a weird assortment of foods now. We're at the point where we still have food from the original shopping adventure to build up and stock for quarantine, but now it's kind of like random things. And we went to the grocery store today, and I think we got like oatmeal cream pies, a bag of Crunchers, Doritos, and then like a 12-pack of McUltra. So it's just like this wasn't an essential adventure for us. Like, we should have probably stayed home, but we were tired of being in the house. And then right before we come on air, Pete, I open the fridge to get a McUltra to drink on the show, and what do I smell? Chicken. I got 6 pounds of chicken wings, and they've de-thawed, and they're dripping all through the fridge. I had to clean it up.
Yuck.
And that's the excitement that I have in quarantine. That's the highlight. Other than binge watching like 2 seasons of Sopranos in like a day and a half, and now I keep talking like this. It's great.
Forget about it. I'm from Jersey. I should.
Yeah, that's how all the people up there talk in New Jersey, right? Like Snooki, like that's a real good like representation of your community, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so funny when people from outside of New Jersey find out I'm from New Jersey. They assume that that everything is mafia and Jersey Shore. But it's funny because it's I went to Germany a couple 15 years ago. I guess it was about 10 or 15 years ago. A couple years ago, last week, 15 years ago, and met another Dannenfeld, another family in the town of Dannenfels.
Cool.
And they were like, "Hey, you're from this little teeny tiny town." That's the best way to go visit foreign countries, right? If you're going to do that, go and like visit teeny tiny towns. And this kid who was like 17 years old or so was like, he's like, "So you're from New Jersey?" I'm not going to do a good German accent. I said, "Yes." He goes, "I will come and visit you, and you can show me Sopranos, and you can show me Coyote Ugly." Like, that was his impression of what what our world is. So, forget about it. It is what it is. I married a good Jersey Italian woman. Everything is good.
Sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but that's literally my dream woman. My God, it's okay. I'm marrying a girl from the north, so go figure.
It's not too bad.
No. I'm very happy with it. Good girl. It's funny. You said that about that's his understanding of what New Jersey is. I think that's what most people believe New Jersey to be. But also, we forget to talk about like the good food. You mentioned it. You have a beautiful wife. There are a lot of beautiful Jersey women with Italian descent.
That's right.
None of this has anything to do with Star Wars, but that's
zero.
What happens when you're under quarantine and you're like, you got to hit at least 20 minutes on the show. No, I'm interested about this conversation because last week I very rarely get negative feedback about my hot takes, and I don't have hot takes, but people are like, "Man, you were like kind of hard on that episode,"
right?
And I was. I do appreciate, though, the people who were critical and responded to me did not call me a misogynist, which I appreciated. Because, again, my problem is not that it has no men in the episode. It's a weak story. This is Deal or No Deal. This was directed by Nathaniel Villanueva and Stuart Lee. That was written. Dave Filoni, Charles Murray is on this thing. And, the things, let's just go right into what we like, because I think there are a lot of positives. I liked the fact that we got to play again with the Pikes, and that's something I appreciate about the Clone Wars in general, is that we always get to play a lot with the underworld. Got to explore the Hutts and how the Hutt family worked. Going to, what is it, Melhutta? Or Nulhutta? Whatever the planet is.
Nalhutta?
Yeah, I thought that was really cool. And then playing so much with the Pikes. One of my frustrations with and correct me if I'm wrong here, but in Solo, Star Wars story, wasn't that the Pike Syndicate that was
It
involved?
wasn't, and I think that's what's kind of cool about this because I'm hopeful. I think you and I texted a little bit back and forth on this before we got on, and
Yeah.
just a little bit behind the curtain. Dave and I try to save our conversations for the episodes. Sort of, like they do on some talk radio stuff. Try to keep the conversation for the show. But one of the things that we talked about was that we kind of want to get to the Ahsoka Maul stuff. I think this may be a stepping stone, and I would love to see them show a connection between was it Black Sun? Is that what it was? Not
Yes.
Black Sun. Is that what it is?
Oh, you mean Maul's thing?
Yeah,
Uh,
from Solo, a Star Wars story. The
Crimson Dawn.
Crimson Dawn. Yeah, Black Sun is Shadows of the Empire. Wow, my brain, like all the brain cells from 1996, just fired off real quick.
Yeah, but for
Like,
some reason, I want to say that there's a Black Sun reference in Clone Wars, but I could be wrong. So
yeah, I think there is. But anyway, I think we may see that connection between the Pikes and Maul in somewhere, at least to sort of set up that back end of the criminal underworld. That being said, I loved seeing the Pikes, and it reminded me that I wish we saw some unmasked Pikes in Solo, because they're really, I forgot how kind of cool and creepy and alien-y they really are. I thought it was really cool to see them in this episode.
yeah, I really agree with you. And what I was about to say was I was confused by the masks of the Pike syndicates in Solo, because when you look at just the mask, obviously they don't look at all like the Pikes that we saw in Clone Wars. And so at first I was like, well, that's a real inconsistency. And then you learn apparently they can't handle like the sun or something, so they had to wear the mask. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. I don't try to fully understand it. But I will tell you is I'm really happy to see the Pikes. I did like the fact that there was this whole, I'm not giving you the play-by-play of the episode. Pete's not going to give you the play-by-play of the episode. We're very vocal about this. You watch the episode. We come here and we just talk about what we like and what we didn't like. I really like the tip of the cap to Return of the Jedi when they're taken off out of Coruscant and you have Anakin on the bridge there, and who's on that ship, and it kind of played like that. It was really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It was really nicely done. And then that's kind of like where the positives go for me, as far as like things that really stood out and really excited me. I think that I feel like this is one of those stories that I've seen before. But and that's okay. I guess my thing is I am so amped for this final season of Clone Wars that I think what my definition of don't waste an episode is vastly different from what maybe someone else would say is a waste of an episode.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to springboarding into this the whole Maul and Ahsoka conflict. Obviously, I think that's what this last arc is shaping up to be, and that really excites me. I don't know, Pete, what stands out to you when you look at this episode? What stands out to you? Because I don't know if this is your favorite episode so far of season 7, but I know you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah, so I've said it before. I've become a huge Ahsoka fan, a real, Ahsoka, just sort of studying her character, and I just really find her to be a very interesting character. So I'm excited about anything we get with Ahsoka. And what I really loved about last week was sort of that sort of beginning to dive into a little bit of her making her first decisions and her first steps without the Jedi looking over her shoulder and without Anakin looking over her shoulder. And I thought, so last week I enjoyed a little bit more than this week, even though you did start to see, I felt like some of her conversations on the what was it, the Silver Angel was
Terrible name.
Yeah, not a great name. I would agree with Rafa and Ahsoka. That name was not great.
That's what I would just call you, the Silver Angel. I'm not going to call you a Silver Fox, but
yeah, I'm the Silver something. So, but what the challenge I thought was with this episode was I did not like this one as much as last week, and it's interesting because I think you liked last week's less than this week. But the thing the challenge I had with this one was the decisions that were made. I felt like Trace's character took a step back. Now we've only known her for one episode, but the dumping of the spice felt like maybe an overt call to what Han allegedly did when the Empire came down on him. But and that's just totally nitpicking. That said, I still like where this arc is going. I think it's giving us some really interesting things. But to your point, I am 100% in agreement with you that the things that I loved about this episode were the connections and the subtle callbacks to things we've seen in the films. Coming in and landing near the spice mines and seeing that in an animated form that we saw in Solo. And you're right, that moment on the bridge of Vader sensing, or soon to be Vader, Anakin, soon to be Vader, sensing something on the ship that he couldn't quite place but let it go through, was that was brilliant. I think that made the entire episode a winner for me, and made it worth its spot in the canon.
It was really nice to see the use of the Force in that way. I've always been a fan of that Force connection, how those who are skilled can kind of call out to each other. And obviously, our first taste of that was Empire Strikes Back, and it's been used a lot of different ways since then. But I really enjoyed it. And it's like, okay, so Anakin knows what's up, and Ahsoka kind of knows what's up, and it's interesting. It's interesting to me that Anakin would let her go.
Yeah.
To me, I think my impulse, if someone were just to describe that scene, my assumption would be, oh, Anakin's going to try and, flag her down and try and, talk some sense into her.
Right.
But maybe what we've gotten here is that Anakin accepts what Ahsoka decided to do, walk away from the Jedi Order. She felt betrayed, and allowing his Padawan to walk and make her own path. And I think that's fascinating, because Anakin cannot do that for himself. Like the whole thing, the whole Star Wars story doesn't happen if Anakin's just like, you know what, Jedi, I appreciate it, but this isn't for me. I gotta walk. And then he just goes and marries Padme, and they buy some farmland on Naboo. Nothing. End of story right there. And so I think it's interesting how, because you have this ability to continue telling the story 40 years later and really flesh this thing out, coming back to the Clone Wars after so many years, is you're able to kind of show how Anakin, through several people, kind of lives out vicariously and sees the life he could have through other people. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like when Ahsoka does come back into the mix, because we've gotten little glimpses of that in the teaser content. But I'm looking forward to that. So I'm kind of like grinding, kind of just trying to get through this arc, because it's not really, I don't see it progressing the overall conflict or the main story. This is definitely like a tangent. So get through this, and let's get to Mandalore. Let's go kill some Mandalorians. Let's kill some Death Watch. Let's get some Maul and Ahsoka. A little Kenobi action in on there. It's like an orgy of Star Wars characters. Nothing sexual.
That would be a completely different show, and I don't think Disney Plus would air that. But
no, that would be on Hulu for sure.
But it's interesting. I'm hopeful that this is not quote unquote filler. And again, I feel like we're learning about Ahsoka, and maybe, I think these are opportunities to really get to know Ahsoka for not only the rest of this series, but if there's more Ahsoka content in Mandalorian or wherever she shows up again, I think it's really important to understand what drove her decisions. I'm also really curious, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this, as to whether or not we're sort of teased at least a conversation from hologram to real world between Anakin and Ahsoka, but there's a little bit of weight added to the confrontation in Rebels between Ahsoka and Vader, if the last time they saw each other face to face was when she walked out of the temple. And I hope, it's my hope, my own personal hope, that he doesn't see her face to face. I'm looking forward to him communicating with her, as we saw again in the teasers, but I don't want him to see her face to face. I want that Rebels confrontation to be that next time they literally saw each other.
Yeah, I'm down with that, because something we talk about quite a bit is we want that return on the investment. We want all this stuff to connect and sync up, correctly. That's part of the reason why you have the storyteller group, for example, with Matt Martin and that crew, is to maintain consistency when, these different projects happen. So I believe, though, don't we see them together in the trailer?
I can't remember, and I could be. Yeah, I
think
totally
Anakin does I think Anakin does show them. Because doesn't Anakin allow Ahsoka and all them into the hangar where all of her troopers are?
I honestly I can't remember. I wish I could recall. I really don't
I'm
remember.
pretty sure because that's how she also gets the new sabers, right? Because she gets those two new blades, those two new blue
Yeah, you're
sabers.
probably right.
So
All right.
I think
So
that,
there go my dreams.
but it still holds up. But Pete, I think it still totally holds up, right? Um, because isn't the line about how she walked away from the Jedi Order, or was I haven't seen him since the Clone Wars?
Again, great question. I'm not
So
sure.
if memory
Yeah.
serves me correctly, I'm pretty sure it's since uh, the end of the Clone War, since the Clone Wars. So if that's true, if my memory serves correctly, then it still holds up.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Framey in the chat is also asking how long has it been since Ahsoka left the Jedi Order? The opening narration of this episode made it sound fairly recent. I feel like it was. It's been 7 years for us, but I think for the show it's been days or weeks, but certainly
yeah,
not a long time at all. Which I think that's why this Ahsoka content is so interesting to me is because it's showing. And the way I thought about it, I wrote a real short review of the last episode for Mark Newbold on Fantatrax, and it struck me that we are seeing Ahsoka's first decisions on her own. Period. Right. I mean, she made a couple decisions on her own when she was separated from Anakin, and in her own, in the first 6 seasons of Clone Wars, where she had to make decisions and do things. But seeing her now no longer under the thumb of the Jedi or her quote unquote big brother Anakin, it's really kind of fun to watch that because we all love this character so much, and to see how she's pulling through it and how she's dealing with it. And I love how she's doing that with these Martez sisters, which are sort of, you know, both sides of a coin as to the way to make decisions.
yeah, I think it's interesting, but in a way, I almost feel like we're seeing Ahsoka revert back to her younger self, and I think this was brought up in the live chat too. Is the fact that she is struggling with how much she reveals to these Martez girls. You know,
Yeah.
she very knowledgeable about the pikes and crime and what will happen if you're caught with them, and a knowledge of spice and what is spice used for. And so, the one sister is kind of cautious around Ahsoka and kind of concerned about just how much knowledge she has. Is she a spy? Maybe can she be trusted? Could she be a bad influence for Trace? And so,
Right.
I'm curious to see how that evolves, because that's not the Ahsoka. The indecisive, second guessing Ahsoka is not my favorite. I like, when we share the common age, that's when I'm into Ahsoka as far as like maturity standpoint. My God, I cannot wait to handle Ahsoka the white or the gray or whatever we get to experience in this Rebel spinoff with Sabine. Right, is going to be
Right.
amazing, and whatever we get with Ahsoka in the Mandalorian, again, you're going to have this experienced, wise Ahsoka. It's interesting that Ahsoka here in this arc unravels. She's unlearning a lot of what she has learned because
Right.
she's trying to keep herself protected. She doesn't want to give away who she is. I love the line about, "Oh, where'd you learn about fixing ships?" "Oh, Skywalker Academy."
Right.
I thought that was pretty slick. And there's been a couple little things she's thrown out there that the viewer, we know, oh, that's a reference back to the Jedi Order. That's what happened, last season, whatever. But for her in the moment with the Martez girls, it's this over their head. She's from the higher levels or whatever they call it.
And you know what I love about that is that it reminds us how enormous the Star Wars universe is. So we all assume that if you said the word Skywalker in the Star Wars universe, everybody would know who you're talking about.
Nobody has a clue.
But nobody has a clue.
Yeah.
Right. It was, we as the viewer see the role that the Solos and the Skywalkers and the Vizslas have played in this a tremendous, exciting universe, but nobody else knows. I mean, if you think of it, and that was the other thing. This is the first time, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the first time where we saw a planet that has two completely different types of environments. We saw that Kessel has a beautiful, lush greenery and rolling landscape, and you get in your ship and you drive an hour and you're in the hellish mining section. This is the first time we've seen two different types of environments within one planet.
I'm trying to think back and see if you're actually true with that statement, and it's really
Wonder-
hard. I mean, you can try. I mean, I'm thinking there's got to be examples. I mean, Mustafar, for example, okay, not shown
Mhm.
in the same thing, or in the same story, but Mustafar we know is this volcanic planet, right? Well, when we go to Rise of Skywalker, we're on Mustafar, and there's trees, and there's
Right, but
life, and it's the planet's repairing itself.
right.
I don't know if that qualifies in the same category. Endor has ocean and land. I don't know what qualifies as two different kind of.
Well, I mean, generally, I think you get like either harsh winter landscape or you get beautiful, lush whatever. But in this case, I think we saw that within the same planet, much like our own, you can
Right.
actually have different types of environments. So
Yeah, you can have like beautiful New Jersey, and then you can have like the nearest Trump property. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm not political. I don't get political. It's not my beef. It's not. But seriously, I hope no more people die from coronavirus. Okay, cool. So I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. Hey, so when we think about, I just got really excited because last night I rewatched the first episode of The Mandalorian. And it really got me excited again about the news we talked about last week, which is Rosario Dawson coming out and playing Ahsoka. Have you seen, like, people are actually upset? There's some people up there that are upset by her casting. So you get Eckstein, Ashley Eckstein comes out saying, "I'm not tracking the voice. It's going to be
Mhm.
Rosario." Okay, that's something that you and I kind of discussed last week. You were like pretty adamant. Well, if you get someone of her talents, you're not having Ashley Eckstein come in and voice the character. You're going to have Rosario do that. Okay, totally fine. Totally respect that. But some people are pent up. Apparently there's some like litigation. I don't want to talk about that stuff. But I am super.
Litigation. Ugh.
Yeah, there's apparently some like lawsuit things, or I don't know. People got treated badly. I didn't read enough about it to be knowledgeable, and I'm not here to spread rumors. But there is litigation happening, and so people say that should keep her out of the role. Anyways, so I'm just excited because I'm the same way with Tiger Woods. Like Tiger Woods, say what you want about what he did off the course, I don't care because it doesn't impact me. Like I just like Tiger Woods, the golfer, and I don't, his personal life is his personal life, and I'm one of those people that doesn't believe that celebrity makes your life an open book to the world. But that's just me. Again, that's just me. So
Well, that's because you are a celebrity. You
no,
are
no,
an
no.
on-screen personality.
No. I think you could stretch public figure, but you'd stretch it really hard, and you have to put like an elastic waistband in there and really stretch that waist 36 to make it a 42.
Hey,
But
I would say you're my closest friend that's got a blue check mark. So
I am verified on the Twitter,
yeah,
and I'm trying to get verified on the Facebook. But since that platform is basically outdated now and just used to promote political propaganda, I'm kidding. I'm not that kind of person. I'm really not.
have you ever seen that Saturday Night Live episode? Now we're really going way off the rails,
Let's
but the
do it.
Saturday Night Live episode with Jonah Hill, where he plays the 6-year-old son of the guy. They go to the Benihana, and he's like, "I'm kidding, I'm 6." I feel like that's where you're going.
Oh,
with
sorry.
this.
Yeah, no. What was the point of all this? Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really thrilled about the idea of seeing a live action Ahsoka, whether she is in season 2 or she isn't until season 3. Either way, I'm pretty excited. Why? Because either season 2 is going to be awesome, even more awesome than we thought, or
Right.
we'll have confirmation that, okay, we are getting a third season, that Disney is so invested in Favreau and Filoni and what they're creating that this thing's going to get live for a third season. So either way,
So
I think we win.
I will say this, and I'm not good at this sort of thing, but I'm going to try it here on our show today. I do have it from a decent authority that I absolutely cannot reveal
Yeah.
that a third season, and it's not surprising that we're going to get a third season, but really very sure that a third season is already very well into the planning at this point. Now, again, I'm not going to reveal where it came from, and it's not that much of a surprise. I think I don't think like I'm creating any major, anything that's going to appear in any clickbait. But a third season is all but guaranteed from the source that I have.
I'm really excited because I think it's this moment that finally gets us quoted by "We got this covered," and I'm really excited because those guys, you could blow your nose out on a piece of tissue paper, and
Right.
they'd come up with somehow this is tied into Leia getting her own prequel 4-season series on Disney Plus. I don't like to talk poorly about some people, but that content is trash,
Oh, it's
and
trash.
most of it's based on bullshit. So okay, and I got my one bullshit, two bullshits, three bullshits, four in the show. That just
We
happens.
went
It happened
we
like that.
went one bullshit too many.
Oh no. We still have that PG rating. No, it's PG-13, right? Because darn it. Okay, sorry guys. So
Well,
sorry.
that now we get one F-bomb, which is good.
Oh, okay. I'll let you have it because I took the last one. So I'm excited to find
Thanks.
out how you get that.
I'm
How do you
gonna plan for it. It's
hey,
good.
you played Vader Immortal, right?
I did. Yeah. All 3 episodes. Yep.
Okay, so here, Frammy's in the live chat. Let's talk about this because we're kind of wrapping up because we've talked about the episode from what we. I don't want to complain about the episode. We talked about what we liked.
Yeah.
The Martez
It
sisters are a little whiny, but we talked about it.
Yep.
Talk to me about Vader Immortal because I haven't played it, but apparently it gives some insight into the regeneration of Mustafar. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I busted. If my 7-year-old son were awake right now, he'd be able to give you a much better take on it because he played it much more than I did. But there certainly is. There's a lot of Mustafar. Apparently, at one point, was a beautifully forested planet, and it gets. I don't want to. This is one thing I don't want to give a lot of spoilers on because it's not streaming Star Wars, but it is really good content. But there is that does give a whole story as to how it became such a planet in ruin, and so it's definitely it comes back around, and I think what you see in the if you read, I just was looking up here at the corner where I have the what is it, the books that come out for each movie that Pablo puts out, but
The
they do
locations.
reference that it does regenerate, so it's really it gives you some backstory as to why it's such a great sort of center of evil as well. So I don't want to give too much detail on it, but
No,
it's
I don't
definitely
blame you.
worth it.
I feel kind of bad for asking that question because I basically was asking you for a give it away, but yeah, I want to try and play that. But I think that's a cool aspect. I love the idea that Mustafar is healing, and I'd like to learn more about why it has to heal. Obviously, there's a lot of activity with those volcanoes on the planet, but I don't know. Maybe there's a Sith connection there that I need to learn more about. Hey, it's about 30 minutes into the show here, and kind of wrapping up here on a Friday, episode 16. So glad that you're with us for streaming Star Wars. And kind of looking ahead, Pete, I feel like we talked about this a little bit last week, but
Yeah.
trying to figure out, and I think you even mentioned in this episode, just trying to figure out what the ultimate goal here is with this final season, because it looks like we have Dangerous Debt, which
Hmm.
is the third and final. Maybe it's the third and final of this current arc that we're on with season 7, and then we go to Together Again, which I feel that is more about Ahsoka and Anakin reuniting. How soon do you think we get till Mandalore? Keeping in mind we have Together Again. Episode 8 is April 10th, the day after my birthday. Fun fact.
Oh wait, it's send gifts to David Emilotti, care of I don't know.
I'll put the P.O. box out there. And then you get Old Friends Not Forgotten, April 17th, The Phantom Apprentice, April 24th. But, Pete, as you've mentioned on our show, there are 2 episodes not accounted for right now. And, yeah, we've been reading reports for a year and a half now that say it's 12 episodes. So those 2 episodes, I wonder, Pete, tell me if I'm crazy here. What if The Phantom Apprentice is like the Maul, Ahsoka takedown or whatever, but we get 2 more episodes where Clone Wars is happening simultaneously during the events of Revenge of the Sith?
So there's a couple different ways it could go. I think
He hates
I
my
think
idea.
I think Rebels did this where they listed an episode, but it was a 2-parter, and I could be wrong about that, but I do remember there were multiple 2-parters. I think if to get to 12, you could conceivably, I mean, Phantom Apprentice, maybe that's even a 3-parter, right? Because it's taking just the title alone, and now I'm overthinking it, right? But it's tying to Phantom Menace, which of course is a direct connection to Maul. It's also got the word apprentice, which of course Anakin becomes. And so I think that could be where your bleed into Revenge of the Sith comes in. But yeah, I have no idea because I don't know why I haven't seen anything that's actually even confirmed the 12 episodes. I tried to find something and I couldn't find anything other than the same sort of sources we've always seen that says it's 12 episodes, but not even StarWars.com says it's 12 episodes, at least that I saw. So my guess is one or two of these become two-parters, and that's how we get to 12.
I'm cool with that. I'm gonna cross my fingers. Well, no, I'm not going to say the statement that I was going to make because I think that you could definitely be right. What if the Phantom of Apprentice was 2 parts? I'd be totally cool with that. And you get 2 parts. You get 2 episodes on the same day. So now you're getting
Yep.
about an hour worth of watch. I'd
That's
be down with that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that. Would be curious to know what you think about that. Whether you're watching with us live on YouTube on this Friday, maybe you're listening on the rewind, maybe you're watching on the rewind. But let us know down in the comments below, or send us a tweeter. Send us a tweet.
Is that what you want for your birthday? You need a tweeter? What does it mean?
That sounds so inappropriate, but I don't think it is.
It-
Follow us on Twitter at StreamingSW. You can hit up Pete and myself. You can also find him at Around the Galaxy. You can find me at Beyond the Blast Doors, where we can talk about all the Star Wars goodness. And I already mentioned live on Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel. You can always get the podcast version of our show. Just type in Around the Galaxy on the app that you use to listen to podcasts. You'll find Around the Galaxy podcast there, but you'll also find Streaming Star Wars.
Yeah.
Pete, I know we're doing a shorter episode this week. Anything that I've left out?
No, not really. I think it's interesting that these feel like filler. And the one thing that I would say about filler episodes, right?
They
using
suck.
Air quotes. No, I would not say that.
They're the worst. Waste
would
of our
s-
time.
No.
Please
I
send
would say-
whiskey.
I think we thought there was a lot of filler in Mandalorian that turned out to be really important to the story, and so it's my sense that may be where we end up in looking at these episodes as having built in more pieces of the puzzle. But so I don't know. That's kind of where I'm going with that.
That was beautiful. Anything we need to
I
know
hope.
about what's coming down the pipe for Around the Galaxy?
I have 2 episodes that I recorded this week. My son reminded me this morning or this evening that I've been recording all week, and I have an episode with a gentleman who is a Mark Hamill doppelganger who goes around and does charity work as Luke Skywalker, and also a fan of ours who we've seen in and out of our chat, and who was probably one of my earliest followers. A woman named Semperfi Danny W, and we did a show last night, and it's always cool to kind of be able to get people on the show who aren't necessarily famous in any way, but big fans, and it's a thrill for me to talk with them and just sort of get to know them a little bit more. So
Yeah, I feel like those episodes are the ones of yours that I enjoy the most. Just
Yeah.
just because there's no pressure on them. 2, I think
Right.
people are able to be just super honest about why they like Star Wars, and then you just have like this genuine celebration of the fandom. And now, listen, obviously, you've interviewed like Nathan Hamill and Ken Knapsack and Scrimshaw and all these people that are also like very much like in the Star Wars community.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of fun to listen to. But I think everyone has their 30-second to hour-long podcast elevator speech about why they like Star Wars. And I think it's always fun to listen to those shared on the show. So I'm really looking forward to that dropping. When does that drop again, Pete?
Next week will be Fluke Skywalker, is what he calls himself, and then the week after will be Semper Fi. And I have an author in the wings who I'll be speaking to sometime in April, so that'll be coming soon.
Very cool, very cool. Trying to get Beyond the Blast Doors going up again. It's just crazy. I know we have the quarantine time, so maybe this is the time to do it, but I think we're going to pick a different day. I have my mornings free again, and I can't go to the gym. So be on the lookout for that. I'll try and do like a power hour on Twitter where I'm breaking down my thoughts, but I want to get this thing going. I've got packages ready to go out for Patreons, and I'm really excited about. I've been talking about this for months. Finally able to send out these packages for those people. And I'm not trying to plug that. I'm just saying, like,
No, please.
people that supported me through a lot of up and downs with Beyond the Blast Doors. I get to say thank you. So I'm really excited to send that stuff out. So if that's it, Pete, I think that's it. I think we did a show.
I think we did a show. We covered what we needed to, and we've hit all the requirements. And so while it was a short show, it certainly qualifies as a show nonetheless.
I think that was really well said, Pete. I think you need to get a razor. You probably need to get a haircut. You look like a homeless man, like a 45-year-old homeless man.
I feel like a 45-year-old.
You kind of look like Alabama. Okay, hey, we got to get out of here because the closer's almost over. Bye.